depends on our worldview. Now, VCY America presents Worldview Radio with Brannon House.
Welcome to the broadcast. Glad you are with us. We're going to be joined today by Hedieh Mirahmadi. She has quite the bio. As you know, she spoke at our National Worldview Weekend in October. Folks, we are at another, place we've been before, and that is where we have friends who we agree with on so many issues, but then we don't agree with them on certain issues, right? And we just try to work through it because of the fact, like what Ronald Reagan said, someone that agrees with you 80% of the time is not a 20% enemy. So here we are, and it is creating a lot of confusion in the Christian, MAGA, America First, Patriot, whatever way you want to describe it, community. And what am I talking about? MEK, that's the acronym for a group that was started in Iran, helped to actually overthrow the Shah, and then was opposed by the Ayatollah himself. It is a Marxist Islamic group, according to many people, and you can go to their own website, find out who their leader is, what she stands for. She always seems to be wearing a hijab. That is a red flag, right? And then you read what they stand for, and you're like, oh my, why would any conservative support this group to go back into Iran and lead? And yet many are friends of mine, like Claire Lopez, like Colonel Rob Maness. Rob Maness wrote an article, the Colonel did recently, about the need maybe for the two groups to work together. So he'll be interviewing at 2:00 one of the MEK co-directors. And then right after that, Hedieh Mirahmadi will be joining him. Tonight, Annie Cyrus and I and Claire Lopez will be having a conversation about this. Obviously, we know where I stand on MEK. We know where Annie stands on MEK, but we're going to bring on our longtime friend, Claire Lopez, also a former CIA operations officer, to talk about why she has been one promoting MEK. So I think when you run into these kind of situations, folks, where we agree on so many issues and have been in the trenches together, fighting Islam taking over America, Sharia, fighting Hezbollah, and all of the things that have gone on, you have to step back and say, do you want to destroy long-term coalitions over one or two disagreements, even though we are both very passionate on either side of this? And I go back to the quote by Reagan, someone that we agree with 80% of the time is not a 20% enemy. We just come out and we're honest. Here's what the situation is. Here's what they believe. Here's what we believe. And everybody can then make a decision. But that way, you're just being upfront, honest, and trying to keep from confusing people. And at the end of the day, that's what we don't want, confusion. So we're going to be joined now by Hedieh Mirahmadi, as I said. I want to read her bio to you. She is a former U.S. government national security professional with over 20 years of experience as a federal contractor across 5 presidential administrations. And she was specializing in the area of counterterrorism, Islamic networks, and foreign influence operations, and regime change risk assessment. She served as a political officer at the U.S. Embassy in Afghanistan, working in a high-threat environment shaped by insurgency and, of course, deficits and an externally driven governance failure. She later served as a senior advisor to FBI headquarters, where she helped design, implement, and scale terrorism prevention and threat assessment programs across FBI field offices and joint terrorism task forces nationwide. Again, she's a regular guest here, was a keynote speaker with us at the Worldview Weekend in October. And she also broadcast soon, I think, if not already, on the network of our friend Pat and her pastor, Pastor Jack Hibbs. She joins us now. And she'll be with Colonel Rob Maness next hour. He'll have on a co-director of MEK and then have on Hadia. Hadia, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Brannon. It's a pleasure, always.
Well, thank you for making time and for agreeing to come on today and on Colonel Rob's program. And thanks to Colonel Rob for having you on about it as well. We do have breaking news here. Here is a headline from the New York Times. Israel and Arab nations asked Trump to refrain from attacking Iran. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel asked the president to postpone any planned attack. Israeli and Arab officials fear Iran could retaliate by striking their countries. Now, they must have sources telling them this, but we'll see how this story fleshes out. President Trump has said, hey, the killings have stopped, or they're stopping, so no attack for now. I don't know. The whole thing is very confusing when you have young people and you tell them and you put out on social media, as the president did, if Iran shots, and that's how he spelled it, I think he meant shoots, and violently kills peaceful protesters, which is their custom, the United States of America will come to their rescue. We're locked and loaded and ready to go. Well, they did. 20,000 probably killed, not count the numbers injured and or arrested. We also have reports that the forces were deliberately shooting protesters in the eye and head. So again, I don't know how you can tell young people, get out there, stay in the streets, be involved, we're coming, help is on the way. This gets repeated by Lindsey Graham, other people, and these guys and gals get slaughtered. And I just don't know how your credibility survives this kind of thing. Particularly, do other nations, do their leaders now take us seriously? Cuba, Venezuela, China, etc. What are your thoughts on this before we move into MEK and why some conservatives from a diplomatic standpoint are supporting them over the Shah's son, the prince?
Wow. Okay. So this is a really wild turn of events as far as I see it, because most people rely on Trump's word when he's going to do what he says. So I know you've mentioned this in a past broadcast that maybe he's just deflecting so that he catches them off guard. He wants Israel, Israel needs to shore up their defenses in time for an anticipated response from Iran, and that he'll just strike later when Iran is less prepared. I mean, that's giving him the benefit of the doubt. But if we do not help this revolution, my heart goes out to the Iranians that are crying and begging for the West to intervene. And I don't know how they conduct this revolution with no weapons against an armed and a very destructive, barbaric regime. And I don't see how they win otherwise. Yeah. And that's tragic.
It is absolutely tragic. And for the record, your mom and dad were from Iran, came to the United States of America. You were born here, however, right?
Yes. My dad came before the revolution.
And then, of course, you became involved in Islam, kind of a mystic side of Islam. Then someone shared the gospel with you. You became a believer. You also were working in, the government sent you to like 35 Muslim countries to try to develop moderate networks, and you were not able to develop even one moderate network, as you described in your keynote presentation that's in our vault now, because there is really no such thing as moderate Islam, but the money for the Gulf states to keep these networks going that are anything but moderate, it just swamped them. It was a tsunami. And so, I'm guessing you're kind of glad you're not in the government right now with all this going on, right?
I am very glad I'm not in the government. People ask me all the time, why don't you go back? And I say, are you kidding? I can't stand the hypocrisy, because it wasn't just the money from the Gulf, but it was U.S. backing of these Islamist groups. No matter what we tried to build with limited resources, there was always huge financial, institutional, and government backing from U.S. actors for these Islamist networks everywhere in the world. It was impossible to overcome.
Impossible to overcome. Okay, so let's get to, we don't know what's going to happen in Iran. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what Israel's going to do. This whole thing is, like I said, kind of demoralizing in one sense, because we just feel for those young people. I don't know. I think a lot of us who've been covering this for so long started to feel a unity and a sensitivity and a kindredship, if you will, with so many of those young people. And many of them that are being killed are even under 18 years of age. Now, we got to then add in the ones that are injured and been arrested, right? And then the church, right?
And the underground church that is 1 million plus. So there's 1 million plus Iranian Christians that have come to the Lord who are also suffering. So it's just a tragic outcome. I also at some point want us to talk about the other things, the cyber attacks, the psyops that the U.S. could be doing, just, in addition to direct military intervention, because I'm hoping those things are taking place or are going to take place. So would you like to cover MEK first?
Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to write down a little note here in my notepad to not forget and come right back around to the cyber attacks. All right, let's get to MEK. Okay. So why, from a diplomat, I called you last night and I said, help me understand why anyone that's come out of the CIA or out of the military, and some of these politicians and different people that have been inside government, why would they work with a group that is a former foreign terrorist organization, designated by our own government as a foreign terrorist organization? They're off the list now, but they were. The leader's wearing a hijab, posing pictures with Mahmoud Abbas, the PLO leader, who did his PhD denying that the Holocaust even happened. Why would, and I could go on, but why would anyone even work with this group? And your response to me was, Brandon, I can explain it to you from a diplomatic standpoint, why they would be willing to work with MEK over the prince, the Shah's son. So before we go to break in about 3 minutes, computer will take it away. Tell us, why diplomatically are people agreeing to work with MEK, even on the conservative side of the aisle?
Sure. So let's separate domestic U.S. policy from foreign policy. For our foreign policy, and remember, I'm just explaining this. This isn't how I feel. I'm explaining this for people to understand the dynamics. I, as a Christian, want to defeat Islam and see the rise of Christendom. But from a diplomatic standpoint, we work with bad actors all the time. We have propped up very oppressive Islamic rulers and continue to prop them up. So Saudi, Qatar, Kuwait, Turkey, and Erdogan and what he's done to his people, we have very strong relationships with those countries. Ahmed Ashara, formerly Sheikh Jalani, we now have a robust relationship with him. He was on the terrorist list just a year ago. We created bin Laden as a attack force against communism. So we have this notorious history of propping up these regimes because we feel that they are regional stabilizers, or there's a geopolitical interest we're trying to preserve. And so MEK represents that kind of transition. So they're virulently anti-regime, and that's because Khomeini killed them all when he won the revolution. Then they set up Camp Ashraf in Iraq to basically torture Iranians. And when we went into Iraq in 2003, it was MEK that was helping us with intelligence and subversive activities of Iran in that movement. So there is a long-standing relationship diplomatically, politically, strategically, and militarily between the U.S. and MEK. So those relationships imply some kind of legitimacy for them, and they're kind of a cookie cutter out of the box. Let's put them in place instead. And we like that. We like clean lines. We like clean leadership and authority. And then it implies also, because of this long-standing relationship, they're manipulable, meaning they will be subject to the rules that we impose on them, as opposed to the Shah, who's kind of a wild card for them. He wants a free and democratic Iran. He wants a prosperous Iran. What is that going to mean for the peace deal? Is he going to support Israel, or is he going to support the Palestinians? And so for the other Arab nations, they want a free and independent Palestinian state, even in Trump's peace plan. Well, I don't think Iran would support that. I think Iran's going to side with Israel. And so it upsets the geopolitical dynamics.
Okay, hold right there. Hard break. Yeah. Computer's going to take it away. Great points and a new statement out by the prince. Don't go away.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work, try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home. Went to bed. Welcome back. Glad you're with us. Worldview Radio, website worldviewradio.com. Worldviewradio.com. In the next few days, we should be bringing you, probably next week, because we're waiting on the weather to clear up in Israel, video footage from one of the caves where the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Copper Scroll was found. Our reporter on the ground and our biblical Christian worldview tour guide for the Holy Land, Aaron Lavarco, is going out there. We bring him a love offering regularly, so he brings us reports and brings us special tours on video. We've asked him to go out to Qumran, to go into some of the caves, and to bring us a report from there. He's going to be going to a lot of places for us. He already has more to go. We're looking to put together a 24-hour channel of the history of Israel. We have so many reports already. Probably ready to launch that channel, that free ministry channel now, where we'll get a few more reports and then it'll be really ready to go. And again, we look forward to that with us. We'll announce when it's happening. And of course, he's brought to you by our foundation. And don't forget about our church service on Sunday nights, where I'm teaching through the book of Revelation. Just finished the book of Revelation after a year and a half. Now the book of Daniel. Lesson 1 was last week. Lesson 2, obviously, then this week, as we get into the book of Daniel. Last week was introduction. This week we'll start with chapter 1, verse 1. Hope you can join us 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern at worldviewtube.com. It's also replayed on TV 30 in Milwaukee, if you'd like to catch it on the replay. And of course, we put it up on our website early Monday morning for those who missed it on Sunday night. Again, brought to you by our foundation, worldviewfoundation.com. Joining me now again is our friend Hedieh Mirahmadi. And let's go to this issue that you were bringing up, why so many people in the even conservative world will support MEK, this group, because they, again, feel like there'll be some stability, there'll be some
continuity.
And some support by the people on the ground. In other words, if you put in the Shah's
No, not
son.
necessarily. I did not include that they think they have legitimacy inside Iran.
Really?
That's actually not the concern. The concern is, what will they do in terms of our geopolitical interests?
Okay, so it's more about what we can accomplish, not what the Persians can accomplish. The people, the base.
I'm sorry, but the U.S. government doesn't give a hoot about what the Iranian people want.
Wow.
This is about our strategic interests.
Which really begs the question at the end of the day, because I'm hearing from more and more of my friends, I'll let them speak for themselves, that they fear that the average president and administration doesn't give a hoot about what the American people want. That they have their own goals, their own objectives, and they really don't care about what we think until it's election time. So is that template of theirs? Is that worldview not only applied to what our government thinks about the Iranian people, but maybe us, the American people?
Exactly. And don't we see that pattern? It's the same thing. I mean, MEK fits nicely into the Middle East. They will side with Turkey and Qatar on the issues of Israel. They will control the oil prices like OPEC does. They will not cause, instability in the oil markets by flooding the markets with cheap oil like Reza Pahlavi could possibly do to turn around his economy. They are a predictable actor in a field of bad actors.
And so in other words, they're also controlled.
Exactly.
Whereas the prince may not be as easily controlled.
No. And his father demonstrated that.
And of course, the pro-MEK people say, well, we don't need another dynasty, a monarch. He's not offering up a monarch, the prince.
Exactly. And the State Department historically has used that argument against him. I mean, my parents were involved in a movement to restore him back in 1992. I've showed you those pictures. So he's been at this for a very long time.
We have pictures of you in the room with him when in your mom and dad's house.
Yes, we hosted him. I mean, he's been trying to overthrow the Islamic Republic for a very long time. I mean, within a decade. So, I mean, as far as we were involved, at least. But the State Department has notoriously rejected it, saying we don't crown kings. We do not want a return of the monarchy. And so every attempt any administration has made, or people on the outside asking for regime change in Iran, it has been categorically rejected by the State Department. And even during the time of the, quote, neocons, during the Bush administration, it was flatly rejected then, too. And so without a a good oppositional figure that they wanted to put in place. They'd rather just deal with the Islamic Republic as it was.
Well, have you read the statement, by the way, by the prince put out late last night? It's dated January 15th. Statement on the ongoing uprising in Iran and right of the Iranian people to a national democratic alternative. Have you read this from the
I have not.
He says the Iranian people are once again engaged in sustained nationwide resistance against the Islamic Revolution of Iran, a regime that for more than 4 decades has relied on systematic repression, ideological coercion, and violence to maintain power. This uprising is not an isolated episode, but the continuation of a long struggle for national sovereignty and democratic self-determination. And he goes on from there to lay out what he's willing to do. I don't know if this is actually the letter by him or not. Let me see if I can find the actual statement. He actually put out a video. That's not the prince. Let me find the statement. He put out a statement last night that's really impressive as to what it is he wants to do, the free flow of oil, revitalizing his economy. It was really impressive what he's talking about, as opposed to, say, maybe the very, very, very Cliff Note, shallow 10-point plan of MEK. Can you speak to any of that?
Yeah, and I'm sorry to say that his robust definition of what he's looking for, even though he keeps saying he doesn't want to be a king, he wants to have a national referendum, he wants elections, he wants a coalition government. And no matter what he publicly says, it is the institutional government apparatus, the deep state, and the other actors that are like, we don't care. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a regional player that will fit in line with the rest of what the Middle East looks like. You would think we wanted a free and democratic Iran, but I don't think our government apparatus really wants that. And I think we have very strong forces. I mean, President Trump has very close relations with MBS, the Crown Prince of Saudi, with Qatar, with Erdogan, and we know they don't advocate regime change, even though they hate them, even though the Shia-Sunni divide. I mean, the Saudis hate the Iranian regime, but they don't want a free democratic Iran because that would mean the defeat of Islam by the people for the first time in history. I'm not talking about defeats by foreign armies. I'm talking about a defeat of Islam by the people. That's what you and I want. That's what we want for the world. But I'm afraid that's not what the U.S. government wants. For
radio people, I'm now going to show a picture of the lady that leads Miriam Rajavi's. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but Miriam for sure. M-A-R-Y, Mary, and then A-M.
Mariam.
All right. That's how you guys say it.
Yes.
Okay. It almost sounds like you're putting a D in there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Mariam Rajavi.
You do great at that. But there she is wearing a hijab. Now, that right there, to me, says she's for Sharia, right? She's for Islamic rule.
Yes. Absolutely.
So when we do worldviews, okay, the 6 dominant worldviews that rule the world, Islam is obviously one of them. We are not for Islam. We do not, I'm sorry, Dolly, I didn't mean to pound the desk and upset you. We are not for Islam. We have no problem with the Muslims that don't practice Islam, that their heritage is Muslim, but we have a problem with Islam. We don't want to see the expansion of Islam. So why would any conservative work with someone that's going to spread not only Marxism, but Islam? How can we criticize Mamdani in New York or any of these other Islamic Marxists in America? How can we say, oh, no, we don't want that. We don't want that. Oh, but by the way, we support MEK going into Iran. Really? Let's force upon the young people and the people of Iran something we don't even want for our own country.
Well, let me tell you how we do that, how we reconcile those from the U.S. government perspective. And let me clarify, I am with you. I want to see the defeat of Islam everywhere. But our U.S. government doesn't see it that way. It is over there versus here. And so they can reconcile not wanting Islamism and the Marxist Islamic alliance here in the United States with allowing it overseas. Is because those Bedouin backward people, they can't live without Islam. They say the lessons of the revolution in 79 are these people want Islam. So we're going to give them a version of Islam that we can negotiate with, instead of actually believing that the Iranian people are done with Islam. And no matter how much you and I and others scream that from the rooftops, that the Iranian people demonstrate that by risking their lives every single day since this revolution began, saying, we are done, death to Khamenei. We still don't want to acknowledge that because, you know, there are forces within our government that would prefer the monster that we know than the one that we don't know. And it's tragic. It's one of the reasons why I don't want to serve in government, because I am an ideologue. I want Jesus Christ to rule and reign. I want people to find freedom in Christ. And so I will scream that from the rooftops. But the U.S. government doesn't do that. Everything's about geopolitical interests, about stability, about, you know, Middle East peace and oil prices and the industrial military complex making money and selling airplanes to Saudi and Qatar and them investing in the United States and destroying our colleges. I'm not interested in taking part of that.
And now we have something that Annie's made me aware of, the Phoenix Project of Iran, empowering Iran's future. The people's side of the first 100-day plan towards a new Iran, Phoenix Project of Iran. And it's a beautiful PDF that goes into it. And I think this is what the prince and his team want to do in the first 100 days. And I have a hard time arguing with a lot of the main points. Have you seen, and by the way, Logan, I don't know if we have that audio by the prince that came out. Annie emailed it to you, she said. You didn't get it. Yeah, reach out to her because I want to play it because his statement last night was even bolder as to what his plan is. But are you aware of the Phoenix Project?
I have not read it in its entirety. I've just heard of it.
Okay. Let's go back to MEK. Were they not involved in killing some of our troops in Iran in the 60s and 70s?
Yes. And even when they were delisted in 2012, they acknowledged that they killed our soldiers before the revolution. So this is in the early 70s, before the 79 revolution. But they said, well, they haven't committed terrorism in 10 years. And it seems like they've changed their ways. Again, I think that was the result of the cooperation during the Iraq War and then their multi-million-dollar PR campaign winning influence within U.S. government actors.
Okay, so some people in the military and government say, well, a minute, they helped us during the Iran-Iraq war. So again, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. We have a relationship with them. We can work with them. Okay, I'm backing MEK. Okay, that's their analysis. That's their view. They're entitled to it. But of course, the question is money. And I'm not accusing anybody of taking money, but they have a lot of money to go around and pay spokespeople, right? I'm not getting paid by anybody to speak and have opposition to MEK. I wish everyone that's in favor of MEK would tell us if they've ever been paid by MEK.
Yeah.
Right?
And I want to, and remember, when I'm talking about supporting us in the Iran-Iraq war, I'm talking about 2003. So when we overthrew Saddam Hussein, MEK was helping us to prevent Iranian forces from meddling in Iraq. Ultimately, as you see, that was not successful. But MEK was helping with intelligence during that operation and during those subsequent years when we were trying to, turn over a new leaf in Iraq.
So let me have you respond to this. We come back, we'll get into what we could be doing to help the young people. But if they're willing to say, hey, well, MEK has changed, it's not what it used to be, why are they not willing to give that same level of grace to the son of the Shah? We'll be right back. Don't go away.
To assemble, simply connect the mop spray attachment to the handle and the base. When it clicks into place, that means it's secure. Next, remove the reservoir, fill it with tap water, then pop it back in. Adjust the mop handle to your height and add your Norwex wet mop pad. It's best to start with the damp pad. That's it. We're ready to go. When you need a fresh mist, angle the handle straight up to 90 degrees and push down to deliver the perfect spray of water. Mop smart with Norwex.
All right, welcome back. So we also have word now that the prince has been endorsed by 12 members of the parliament in Sweden, correct? Is that what I'm hearing? So, and Lindsey Graham sure did a nice piece with him yesterday and a video with him yesterday, sitting on the couch on Capitol Hill. Now, let's go to a quick little video of the prince, because he's really fleshed out his plan, because people are saying he doesn't have a plan. Well, I don't know. It seems to me he does. And again, we can go to the Phoenix Project we were learning about. Here is the prince. Listen to this.
To all of our friends around the world, under the yoke of the Islamic Republic, Iran is identified in your minds with terrorism, extremism, and poverty. The real Iran is a different Iran, a beautiful, peace-loving, and flourishing Iran. It is the Iran that existed before the Islamic Republic, and it is the Iran that will rise again from its ashes the day the Islamic Republic falls. So let me be clear about how a free Iran will act towards its neighbors and the world after the fall of this regime. In security and foreign policy, Iran's nuclear military program will end. Support for terrorist groups will cease immediately. A free Iran will work with regional and global partners to confront terrorism, organized crime, drug trafficking, and extremist Islamism. Iran will act as a friend and a stabilizing force in the region, and it will be a responsible partner in global security. In diplomacy, relations with the United States will be normalized, and our friendship with America and her people will be restored. The State of Israel will be recognized immediately. We will pursue the expansion of the Abraham Accords into the Cyrus Accords, bringing together a free Iran, Israel, and the Arab world. A new chapter will begin, grounded in mutual recognition, sovereignty, and national interest. In energy, Iran holds some of the largest oil and gas reserves in the world. A free Iran will become a reliable energy supplier to the free world. Policymaking will be transparent. Iran's actions will be responsible. Prices will be predictable. In transparency and governance, Iran will adopt and enforce international standards. Money laundering will be confronted. Organized corruption will be dismantled. Public institutions will answer to the people. In the economy, Iran is one of the world's last great untapped markets. Our population is educated, modern, with a diaspora that connects it to the four corners of the world. A democratic Iran will open its economy to trade, investment, and innovation, and Iran will seek to invest in the world. Opportunity will replace isolation.
All right, let's hold right there. He goes on. But this is, I mean, how can you argue with his points? Now, I want to go to what I was saying earlier. When we bring up, hey, well, wait a minute, some of these MEK people were involved in overthrowing his father and helping put in the Ayatollah. And they were involved in killing some of our soldiers in the 1960s and 70s, we're told. True?
True.
Okay. So we're told, well, those people are no longer around. A lot of those people are no longer around. They're dead. So wait a minute. If you're willing to take a group that has been labeled as a foreign terrorist organization, and that's according, by the way, to the report that I have put up on the screen on more than one occasion, according to Congress. That's according to Congress. I've put that PDF up there. If they're willing to give grace to MEK and say, oh, they've changed, they won't do that, there'll be good players and good actors, well, why do they automatically say that the son of the Shah will not be a good actor, that he somehow is bad? Why do they not give him grace that they're giving to MEK? Any idea?
Well, First of all, I'd like to think, and since I've been gone a while, I'd like to think that there are people in this government, and especially in our administration, that love these words from Reza Shah, that do trust him, that do support him, like Lindsey Graham and others. So I'd like to believe there are some people really pushing hard for him. But if you recall how we started the conversation, what the U.S. interests, and though those all sound like there are strategic interests, if they upset the balance of power that we've established for 60 years in the Middle East, and it becomes an unknown variable to that balance of power, the U.S. government gets nervous. And so they want predictability. And all of those things sound great, but one, can he deliver them? And two, what will it mean for the regional players? What will it mean for Saudi, Qatar, and Turkey? What will it mean to what's happening in Syria? And it's even his stance on Israel, changing the Abraham Accords to the Cyrus Accords. How do you think that goes over on the Trump administration? He's forging a new path for one of the largest people who are used to predictability in the world.
But of course, I'm thinking, I don't want to speak for you, but for me, I'm thinking, I like all those things he's talking about. I don't care if it scares people or not. I mean, isn't that what we're about? Wasn't George W. Bush about spreading democracy? Well, how well did that work out? Here's a guy actually saying he's going to do it. And here's my plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go
hey, when I was doing this in government, I posited a new Islam that would take all of the violence out of it. World leaders, strong clerics all over the world from every country where Islam had a foothold, saying they want to reform and change Islam to bring it into the modern arena, to have peace with the West, to allow, equal standing between Jews and Christians and Muslims. They didn't want it. The government they didn't want a modern reformed Islam. They wanted the crazy version of Islam that they were used to, and so this is just the hypocrisy of the deep state. Well, I don't know how else to tell it to you.
Well, let's go to the issue of the Jews, because Annie brought us last year pictures of the prince with his daughter, and she has married a Jewish man, which my guess is his daughter has converted to Judaism. So wait a minute.
Right.
You want to talk about a guy that can bring together the Abraham Accords? I don't care what you call him. A guy that can bring peace between Iran and Israel. You could have a leader whose daughter is married to a Jewish man and more than likely herself has converted to Judaism. I thought these guys were all excited about the idea of interfaithism. Well, here are your chance to put it to the test, but I guess that they don't really mean that, because they only use interfaith dialogue according to the Muslim Brotherhood leader that was all about it in his book Sia Katoub. It's a one-way bridge to bring the Muslim to our side, not the other way around. So they're not really interested in interfaith. That's just a ploy. But if you want to bring peace and stability, here's a guy whose family member, his own daughter, and he's standing there excited and at the wedding, the prince.
Well, it's peace and stability with Israel, not with its other Middle East partners. Mm-hmm. So that's a very anti-Islamist platform. So what is going to happen to the other regional players who are demanding a Palestinian state, that are still demanding an independent Palestinian state, that are fighting about oil prices, that are fighting about Western influence in their countries? I mean, he's a wild card in the Middle East.
He can't be controlled.
He can't be controlled, and is actually moving in a direction that makes it more Western, which you would think we would embrace, but it terrifies our partners. And so there are people who are more concerned with maintaining those relationships than moving Iran towards a more democratic country that is more aligned with our Western values, that can actually help us defeat Islamism in the world, in the global stage. So I'm hoping and praying there are people in the US government that have that vision, that are in Congress that have that vision, that understand what this could possibly mean for the future of Christendom writ large, But I don't know if their voices will outnumber the voices that want to maintain the status quo.
When we go to the website of MEK, which flies now under a new name, NCRI, National Council on Resistance of Iran. Sounds nice, right? But when you check them out, you're like, okay, wait a minute. Here's a video. Video highlights Miriam's meeting, that's the leader of NCRI or /MEK, with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. Okay, again, why do we want to work with the PLO or help put in place into Iran leadership that is in alliance and is excited about the PLO?
Well, when you see her sitting at the table with MBS and the leader of Qatar and Tayyip Erdogan and Ahmed Ashar, doesn't she fit perfectly?
Yeah.
It's replacing one, terrorist regime with a potential friendly Islamic empire, a friendly Islamic nation, just like the other friendly Islamic nations I have. They don't pay any attention to the global fight. And this brings it back to domestic policy. They pay no attention to the global fight we have against Islamic conquest. They're not calculating that this could be a lever, a very substantial lever that we could use against the advance of the Islamic conquest, but nobody wants to think about it that way. I don't know if we have enough visionaries in this administration to think of it that way. Trump's not an ideologue. He doesn't believe in eternal enemies. So I think for him, this is very transactional. And I think that in the negotiations with Pahlavi, they've probably been extensive talks about, what are you going to do about the oil prices? What are you going to do about our accords with Israel? Are you going to side with the Arab nations? We're still trying to pressure Israel into giving up territory. Whose side are you going to be on? What are you going to do about these regional interests that we have in the Arab nations? And he may not be getting the answers he wants to hear.
Let's talk about what we should be doing. What could we be doing to help? I don't want boots on the ground. I don't think you want boots on the ground, but I think we should be giving them weapons. I'm sure the CIA and Mossad could slip in weapons to these young people. There are other things we can do to help them. What are some of those?
Okay. So first and most importantly, the IRGC is designated, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, is designated as an FTO, foreign terrorist organization. So despite the fact that they're designated, we haven't really done a robust enforcement, at least that's been publicly known, which includes seizing all of their bank accounts, finding their operations, their shipping, their oil transactions, their families' transactions, and we could be going around and stopping them at every turn. There's already been reports about them trying to get their money out of the country, and are we
1.5 billion, excuse me, by the way, 1.5 billion by the Ayatollah's son being sent over to Dubai, I think, right?
Right. Did we stop that transaction? Did we intervene in that transaction? Those are the kinds of things we could be doing to cripple their ability to oppress their forces, oppress the people. So if we were to intervene with them financially and cut off their legs financially, that would substantially weaken them. So in addition to that, there's a tremendous amount of cyber attacks that we could be doing. Why are they still able to jam Starlink? Why haven't we stopped their ability to jam Starlink?
Hold right there. 1-800-347-9829. Your thoughts, your comments, your questions. Get on board fast. Quick comments, quick questions. 1-800-347-9829.
News is moving faster than ever, and so are we. Worldview Tube brings you 24/7 live stream coverage and now real-time alerts when it matters most. Once you have the Worldview Tube app installed, exit the app and navigate your way to Settings. In Settings, locate the tab labeled Notifications. Select the Notifications tab. Scroll down until you locate the Worldview Tube app icon. Select the tab, and here you can turn on and customize your notification experience for the Worldview Tube app. News doesn't wait, and neither should you. Turn on push notifications to stay informed. Every headline as it happens.
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.
All right, 1-800-347-9829. Let's go really quick to the phone lines. What do you guys think about this? Again, we're trying to bring some clarity, some understanding of why there are people in the so-called conservative movement that are supporting MEK. And we're trying to be gracious about it because we agree with so many of these people on so many vital issues. Someone we agree with 80% of the time, as I said, quoting Reagan, is not a 20% enemy. So we're just trying to keep there from being confusion because I'm getting a lot of emails and a lot of emails and text on this from folks. And I appreciate Hedieh coming on. Now, again, Colonel Manus is going to be interviewing, I think, the co-director of MEK in his broadcast at 2:00. And then Hedieh is going to go in the last 30 minutes and offer the other side. Tonight, we'll actually have a former MEK member, His name is, he's a former MEK soldier, to be precise. A former MEK soldier, Ray. He's out of Germany. He'll be on with me tonight. He's warning about MEK and telling you, here's who they are. I used to be one of their soldiers. And then we're going to have a debate with Claire Lopez, former CIA operations officer, who is promoting MEK, and with Annie Cyrus, who is opposed to it. So again, we're just bringing debate. We think that's the best way, folks, to let everybody understand who's where, why, get it out there, and people can make their decisions without, at the end of the day, destroying all of our coalitions where we agree on 90+% of things. Let's go to the phone lines. 1-800-347-9829. Your thoughts, your comments, your questions. 1-800-347-9829. By the way, Hadiah's website is resurrectministries.com, right?
Resurrectministry.com.
Resurrectministry.com. Resurrectministry.com. All right, we have a phone line open if you want to get on board with a comment or question. 1-800-347-9829. Let's go to Zoe in Illinois. Hi, Zoe.
Hi. Oh, I'm so excited to just get to speak to Hedieh because I think she's just fantastic, and I listen to her on her pastor's podcasts. I've heard her on Jack Hibbs.
Good.
And thank you. And isn't MEK, it's a cult, isn't it? I mean, I'm so disappointed in some of the conservatives who are rallying around them, and I think they're a cult. I mean, there was a great article I read on, now I can't, the person's name is Amelie something or other, and he writes, I think he's written on News with Views and I don't know where all. And he wrote an article about it that I read. And
Let me have her respond. Great question. Is it a cult? Yeah. And why do people call it a cult, Hedieh?
Well, it has a very cult-like structure. So they demand ultimate obedience to Maryam Rajavi. They have a very strict command structure. People, they require certain divorces. You know what I mean? Like if a couple comes to them, they may demand that they get divorced, that they interfere in child custody issues. They separate them from their families. Very cult-like behavior.
They live some of them live in a compound, right?
Yes. And they also do live in a compound. Some of them, a lot of them.
Let's go to...
So that... but I also wanted to comment that the fact that I'm hoping that all of this public pressure against MEK would discourage our government from using them. So keep the pressure on. There
you go. Brian in North Dakota. Hi, Brian. Line 2. Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, hey. Good to hear from you. Say, as a born-again Christian who trusted Christ in 1998 and also American soldier, a great policy to take is we have no allies, none. Even in the military, you don't ever trust anyone to your right or your left. You don't trust people, but you of course, you love them, you encourage them, and you work for their best. Now, I want to bring up Daniel chapter 7 because it's so crucial. We're friends with the Israelis to a huge degree, but we cannot go. They're working Daniel 7 and they're hoping for their Messiah, but I am not. I'm not working Daniel 7. I don't want Daniel 7. As a born-again Christian, I'm saved and I want my family members to get saved, but the Israelis are trying to move on to Daniel 7, 5, and 6, 7, and on so that they can get their Messiah. But so, they have Daniel 7, verse 4 in mind for our country, so we can't be best buddies with them on everything. We just can't.
Well, I agree. We don't have to agree with Israel or the unsaved Jews on everything. Absolutely not. We don't want to block their progress, and we certainly don't want to support anti-Semitism. you're 100% right. We don't agree with everything the Israeli government does. You're 100% right. And I think Hedieh, you would agree with me on this.
Absolutely.
Let's go to Cheryl in Wyoming, line 3. Hi, Cheryl.
Hey, Brandon.
Hi.
Thanks for taking my call.
Go right for it. Then we're going to get to Vince in Australia real fast.
Reza Pahlavi is a Shiite Muslim. 869 AD, the last imam went into hiding. God miraculously kept him alive till chaos is fomented in the world, and then he'll bring him back. Reza Pahlavi knows that. Maybe he's thinking, if I go be president of Iran, I'll be in position when the Mahdi comes back. And they also believe, and we know this is going to be the case because we have Ezekiel 38 and 39. I remember it this way. Trials. Turkey, Russia, Iran, Libya, and Sudan will all come against Israel. They're the main players. We can't have, unfortunately, I wish we could. I wish we could win the world for Christ, but we're not going to, according to a proper understanding of Bible eschatology. The imam and Shiite eschatology has to come back and have Jesus as a sidekick, but that can only happen without chaos in the world.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. Real quick, I don't know that the prince is a practicing Muslim anymore. I have no proof of that.
I was going to say that. I was going to say that because I don't think he's publicly said that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think he's even a practicing Muslim anymore, to be honest with you, from what I'm hearing. Let's go to Vince in Australia. Vince, thank you for calling in from Australia today.
Oh, hi, Brandon. Look, quickly, the Bondi massacre, that royal commission that our Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is trying to bring in, it's all garbage. It's a furphy. They never once in that document mention Islam. They're trying to sweep it under the carpet. And secondly, I had a woman overhearing a conversation I was having with a mate on the phone about MEK, and then she said, "Don't speak politics, especially with these hate speech laws that are going to come out." The classical Romans 1, dark and hearted fool, I've got to say.
Well said.
So,
hope you'll call back in. I know you're friends with Aaron, our reporter on the ground in Israel. Thank you, Vince. Again, lots of things are being said that we need proof on. Again, like, how do we know that the prince even practices Islam anymore? There seems to be evidence to the contrary, particularly when he's excited about his daughter marrying a Jewish gentleman. But folks, stick with the facts and don't think that, hey, we can't have a freedom in Iran or Ezekiel 38 doesn't come to pass. Remember, Persia included a lot of nations that are by different names now. Those nations can go create that coalition, and maybe what we know is Iran today sits on the sideline. We don't know. We'll follow it.
This has been Worldview Radio with Brandon.
And we're going to let Hadia go because she's got to run and get ready. I didn't hear the music on that too well, guys. We got to let her go and get ready for another program with the Colonel. You're very busy today. Great job. Thank you, Hadia.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And we'll, of course, we've got a big afternoon. I mean, we've got a big evening, I should say, of interviews. And that includes Olivier Melnick. We got the former MEK soldier, former, by the way. We have Annie Cyrus and Claire Lopez debating this topic. I have David Pine. We've got a lot going on tonight on Brandon House Live. Hope you'll join us at worldviewtube.com, worldviewtube.com. Hey, do you appreciate all we're doing? Do you appreciate the fact that we're trying to bring clarity and understanding? Well, we need your support, folks, now more than ever. Worldviewfoundation.com. Will you please go there right now and make a contribution? Or would you consider going there and grabbing our address and dropping a check in the mail? You can also use our phone number. Leave a voicemail for Melissa or text her. She'll help you make a contribution over the phone at worldviewfoundation.com. Now, don't forget, we also have a new website, a new sponsor. Now, these sponsors, they only pay us if you use some of their products. And I want to invite you to go to melissahouseclean.com, melissahouseclean.com. This is Norex, and we have a bunch of their products. Melissa has been using their cloths for some time. She loves them because of the way they clean the glass, and they clean the glass on my glass top on my news desk here beautifully. She's used their cloths for a long time. She's excited about their products because of the fact that they don't have all these chemicals. I was concerned for some time when I would have my wife see my wife spraying different products I won't name to clean up the stove and whatnot. I'm like, the smell, ooh, it's so harsh. That cannot be good for you. And I might use it to wipe something down as well. And then all of a sudden I'm coughing. I'm thinking, what is in this? This can't be good for you if I'm coughing and hacking after using it. And of course, I don't think a lot of these chemicals are good for you to have in your house or to be using these to clean your plates that you then eat your food off of. So we're pretty excited about Norex. We've gotten a lot of emails from folks in our audience who use their products and are excited. We're promoting their products. That right there, that mop that squirts out water, we just got one of those in the mail. So again, a lot of the products you just use water to clean. So check it all out at Melissa House, Melissa Howse, for those on radio, HOW, House, HOWSE. Spell it like Winnie the Pooh does. Have you watched Winnie the Pooh lately? I did. I watched an episode of Winnie the Pooh the other day with my granddaughter, and they spell it correctly, HOWSE. Winnie the Pooh's house, HOWSE. So there you go. Spell like Winnie the Pooh and you'll be fine. MelissaHouseClean.com. All right. Don't forget also about all the other products at worldviewtube.com/sponsors, because when you use those products, we think you're not only supporting your health, but you're also supporting us with each purchase. worldviewtube.com/sponsors. All right. Now, don't forget to go over to worldviewreport.com. There are so many stories there right now. We're not going to have time to get to all of them. There's so much news going on. So please consider going over there to worldviewreport.com. There's a great article I just have over there. I'm going to be using this as the basis for my commentary tonight in the Worldview Report. The myth of a self-financed Fed. The myth of a self-financed Federal Reserve. That's over at worldviewreport.com. Oh boy, Colorado Democrats introduced bill to strip parents of rights on the transitioning of kids. Colorado has been California'd. Way too many people from California went to Colorado, and now they've destroyed Colorado. And of course, our fear is they're going to come here to Tennessee, and they're going to try to California our Tennessee. Don't do it, folks. If you are not a constitutional republic proponent, believes in natural law, the laws of nature, nature is God, the free market system, do not come here to Tennessee. You are not welcome. You ought to hear about the number of people that are writing about the fact they came here to Tennessee and now they're leaving. And why is it they're leaving? Because a lot of them don't feel welcome. Yeah. You know why? Because they're bringing their progressive, crazy ideas. And when people find out what they believe, they're like, we're not supporting you. We're not going to be friendly with you. We don't want you here. Leave. And they are. They're selling and leaving. There are blogs about that. One blogger said, you come here from another state, California, somewhere else, Minnesota, and you embrace the conservative ideals of our state and our history and our heritage, and you don't want to crash our culture. Not only are you welcome, but we'll bring you into our home and feed you lots of gravy and biscuits, and you'll be fed well. You'll be highly welcomed. But if you're coming here to crash our culture and change our state into the trash heap that you just left, you're not going to be treated friendly. We'll make you uncomfortable until you exit. And some of them apparently are exiting stage left. There you go. All right, worldviewreport.com. Thanks for watching and listening. Take care.
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.